Hello, Bronco fans and football fans everywhere. Welcome to Broncos Breakdown on the MHRT Network. This is a show that is everything Broncos and sports topics related. I am your host, Bronco Bill. Tonight, guys, we have a better show than normal. I'm bringing in Mudungus Creevy and Glenn Hauser from the 5280 podcast to be my co-host on this show. Mike of Mudungus Creevy is going to introduce our special guests.
You know Mike, I am.
Please do the honors.
I will. So, I'm sure you all know him because he's not only is he a body healer, but he's also the man who single-handedly convinced Rob Walton to buy the Broncos by pitching in half the funds for one kiosk of napkins. He loves all Denver Broncos podcasts, but he loves MHRT the most out of everyone and would pick us in a fight over any other podcast. And he's the Broncos' secret third-string scrambling quarterback. Ladies and gentlemen, Mario Vetanze.
Amazing. Everything you just said is wrong. First of all, I don't like all podcasts. I've made that very clear. And anybody that's wondering which ones I don't, I will tell you publicly. Are you guys my favorite? Actually, yes. My favorite podcast is the one that I'm currently on. So by default, right now, y'all win. Okay. Last night it was LTB. Guess what? It's in my rear view. Okay. Don't even know what I said. Okay. I'm probably not even going to watch it because it was a little bit of a train wreck, but last night that was my favorite podcast. But because I'm here on Broncos Breakdown, this is my favorite podcast. And you said that I'm the third string quarterback scrambling, second string. Actually, they don't want to tell you that because I make way, way, way less money than Brett Rippin, but they got me on retainer.
Didn't deny the kiosk of napkins, though, so I got that one right.
Yep.
I'll never tell.
Exactly. Mario, I want to start this off by talking about the greatest contract yet. Russell Wilson signs 5-year extension. What do you think of that?
I think it's perfect. I mean, here's the thing. They had to get it done. Mm-hmm. You know, Kyler Murray's contract is done. Lamar Jackson's is going to get done. And I feel like once Kyler Murray's got done, they're like, we better get on this because you don't, as the Broncos, you don't want to wait until the Lamar Jackson deal is done because you know he's going to get super paid, right? And the longer that you wait on contracts like this, especially, it's like, you know, you want him here. You're not going to play that game where it's like, well, I know we traded a lot of assets for Russell Wilson and we think he's going to be good, but let's just hold off on it for a little bit. Let's wait for a season and make sure he's good. It's like, it's not the right approach. That's not why you brought him in, right? So the sooner the better. I think it's fantastic. I'm sure we see some sort of renegotiation before the deal is actually up. The important thing is he is locked in here. And for all intents and purposes, he should be finishing his career, hopefully 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the road right here in Denver. So I love it. And I really appreciate, you know, I talked to my boy, the Pennings earlier, and I said, look, I'm appearing on Broncos Breakdown on Thursday night. If you could give me like just like a little snippet, like something big to start the show with, I would really appreciate it.
Tell me something good.
And he was like, you know what? I think that they're going to extend Russell Wilson. I think Mr. Payton is going to extend Russell Wilson. Is that big enough for you? And I said, well, we can start there. But you go ahead and get that done Thursday morning. So when I appear on the show, we have something to talk about. And then the next time I appear, you know, we'll rediscuss like what news is going to drop then. But yeah, like that's a good start. Like I'll take that. So it was really nice of him to accommodate me.
Absolutely. Hey, no doubt.
No, but it's a great deal. It's perfect. Yeah. He should be the highest paid quarterback because that's how the market works. Because next year, someone else is going to get paid more. 2 years from now, someone else is going to get paid more. You know, you look at Justin Simmons' contract when he signed it, he was the highest paid safety. Now I think he might not even be top 5 paid. That's just how this market works. So the sooner you get deals done, the better.
Do you think he's in the same category as a Peyton Manning signing or better?
I mean, I I don't want to say I was reluctant about Peyton Manning because I'm not the guy who's like, I can't believe they got rid of Tebow for Manning. Like, that wasn't me. But I'm skeptical, you know? It's like, this is my profession. Like, I'm a healthcare professional. And so anytime anything has to do with the neck, I'm like, I just hope, I hope he's okay. And so the whole thing was, as long as Peyton Manning's neck is okay and his arm strength is okay, it's the greatest thing that's ever happened since they traded for John Elway, right? So yeah, Bill, I think that this is very similar. You know, the nice thing is Russell Wilson is younger and, you know, in a little bit better shape, a little bit more of a physical specimen than Peyton Manning was at the time. But then, you know, on the other side, they got to sign Manning as a free agent and like instead of trading for him. But
right,
this is what they had to do. This was their only option. It was like Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, or we just continue to throw crap against the wall and hope that it sticks. And the only way, like the way that this division is panned out, you had like this was the only option. You had to go get a Russell Wilson or an Aaron Rodgers theoretically. Any other option and any other road they could have gone down, you're not remotely a contender. You're not contending for the AFC West. You're not contending for the playoffs. You're contending to try to not be a bottom feeder. Right. And so now with Russell Wilson, everything changes.
Right.
Well, I mean, think about it this way. Last offseason, you're looking at what at quarterback? You like Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater. You don't know who the heck is going to be your top receiver, if they're going to stay healthy or not. I mean, you go into this season here with this last offseason. Now you got Russell Wilson on an extension. You've got Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton signed. You've got basically the rest of the team, including like defense and offense, mostly on rookie contracts.
Yeah.
Like the amount of good times that we're about to have for the next like 5 years is fantastic.
I want to know if they're building a statue to George Payton yet, because it's been incredible. Everything that he has done has been so absurd. It's like last season, yeah, Kareem Jackson's probably not coming back. Bang, Kareem Jackson comes back. This year, yeah, Kareem's probably not coming back. Bang, Kareem Jackson is back. Yeah, Melvin Gordon's probably not coming back. Bang, Melvin Gordon's back. Yeah, we need a quarterback to compete. We don't know what we're gonna do. Bang, trades for Russell Wilson. Knocks the draft out of the park 2 of the years. Like, I know it's early for this last draft, but the guys look good. You look back to last year's draft, like, oh my God. Could he have had a better draft? Like if like hindsight being 2020, could he have had a better draft? Like, this guy is incredible. And it's just like, I'm just sitting on the edge of my seat. I leaned back and said that didn't make any sense. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. Just like waiting, like, what's he gonna do next? Yeah, the back edge back there. Like, what is he gonna do next? And it's just like, if it's something that I disagree with, I like at this point I'd be like, I'm wrong, because this guy definitely knows more than I do.
I just don't understand the Seth Williams not bringing him back.
Yeah, I know, man. I was disappointed about that, and that's one of the things I was talking about. Is I didn't agree with it, but I'm on the George Payton train until he gives me literally any reason not to trust him. Right? It's like, we as fans and like myself, like I see him, you guys see how he plays. He makes these incredible catches. It seems like he gets open. He's a big play receiver. So there had to be more to it, right? Like, there had to be things that we weren't seeing behind the scenes at practice, because we have such limited, contact with these guys. It's like, yeah, you can watch a little bit of training camp. Sometimes you'll see highlights of practices, but for the most part, we don't see almost any of practice. So it's like, was it a behavior problem? I don't know. Did he not get along with coaches? We don't know. Did he not know the playbook as well as we think? I'm not accusing by any means, but I'm just saying, like, these are the things we have to keep in mind, because we as fans don't see this. So it's like, I'm disappointed, and I really hope that somehow, some way their paths do cross again. And like for Seth, I like Seth a lot, and I'm sure that he'll catch on somewhere, because you're a big time receiver like that with what seems like a lot of potential, a lot of untapped potential. I think you'll end up somewhere. But again, Bronco Bill, it's in Peyton we trust until there's a reason not to trust him, right?
Yeah. And a side note to the Seth Williams thing, the fact that he's not signed anywhere, and then the Broncos gave Shepard number 19 yesterday. So I don't know if you saw that, but
yeah, they did that really quick too.
Yeah,
they're like, hey, thanks,
quick.
Seth, your number is already gone.
the back of the jersey said "too soon?" Question mark.
Wow.
So Mario, I want to ask you, because you are one of the VIPs at training camp. So you get nice
I got in
shade.
trouble for
You
that.
get great. you get a bird's eye view of things. And so, in speaking of Russell, what were some of the things that you were able to witness from your point of view with Russell? Did you meet Sierra? What was your experience?
I was gonna say, man, like I couldn't focus on what was happening on the field because I was like, how do I meet Sierra? Because we're over there in the family, and Sierra and their whole entourage, their whole entourage, they're in this reserved. This is funny, like of all my years, and I've been going since I was like little with my dad. Of all my years going to Broncos training camp, I've never seen a reserved area in the friends and family tent. And it's not like it was, you go to a nice restaurant and it's blocked off and you have to open a gate or whatever. It's like there were literally just tables and then these little plastic signs that say reserved. It's like, wow, we're really rolling out the red carpet here. But no, there's this little area, and I'm like, okay, like I want to take a selfie with Sierra in the background, but I'm sure that happens to her all the time. She could probably pick those dudes off a mile away. I'm not going to do that. Like I got to be more strategic about it. So more of my time was kind of put into like, how do I get into that inner circle with Sierra? And, stuff happened on the field. Like, I don't have time for that. I got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. Have you met Russ?
No, I haven't met any of them. No, I will say this though. It's so different than what we've seen the last couple of years, right? And obviously it's going to be. And I'm not going to be one of these pundits that, focuses too much on how bad the defense is when the offense wins and how bad the offense is when the defense wins. It's like this offense is going to be very good. This defense is going to be very good. And that's it. Sometimes the defense is going to win. Sometimes the offense is going to win. And you shouldn't read any much more into it. Now, in years past, when the offense was bad and they had a really, really, really hard time moving the ball and scoring against this defense, really since Peyton Manning left, you're trying to rationalize it where it's like, well, this is going to be good for the offense because they're going up against a really good defense. It's like, yeah, but no, because not only was the defense really good, the offense was really bad. So it didn't make them better because they were just bad. And a lot of that the last couple of years has had to do with Pat Shurmur. And every single time I go on a podcast, I make sure I go out of my way, just in case someone hasn't heard it from me 100 times already. Pat Shurmur was arguably the worst offensive coordinator we have ever had. Jerry Jeudy told me straight up and down that he would not let him run past 10 yards on routes because that wasn't his scheme. That is the most insane crap I have ever heard in my entire life. And so by getting rid of Fangio, by getting rid of Shurmur, you bring in the complete opposite and Hackett. It's a complete 180. So not only does the offense obviously look better, you can't not with Russell Wilson replacing what we've had before. The energy is different. The music is back. Guys are happy. It's like they're realizing that football is a game. Football is a sport, and it should be fun. With Fangio, football wasn't fun. It was a job. It was your whole life. It's like you don't have friends. You don't have family. You don't have a life outside of football. And it ruined their psyche. It ruined their morale. And I think we all saw that. Now it's completely different. You have a guy that cares about these guys on a personal level, cares about their families, their personal lives, and it's just so much better. So, like, thank God Shurmur is gone. Thank God Fangio is gone. And the guys that bring in, obviously, they have to win, right? As long as they win, we're not going to have an issue. But I can tell you, just based on the morale and just like the energy that's there, like it was palpable and you felt it from those guys. It was so different in like the strangest way as it has been the last few years.
I actually thought of you today in the press conference. They mentioned that Hackett went to dinner with the veterans last night. And I thought of you because Fangio would never have done that. He wouldn't have done anything outside of that.
What I will say, Glenn, during the 2020 season, there were two players on the offense. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who they were, so for right now, we'll just put a pin in it. But he invited them and their significant others over to his house for dinner.
Okay, now, dig in.
And I was speaking to one of the significant others, one of the players that was there, because she was the one that told me. And I was like, how did that go? It's like he doesn't seem like a sparkling conversationalist. He doesn't seem like he'd be a great dinner host. I'm like, was it weird? She goes, it was the most uncomfortable dinner I've ever been a part of. She's like, I thought it would be better because so-and-so and his girlfriend were there and we're close. It wasn't. It was awful. It was even more awkward because they were there. He had no social skills. You could tell he was trying too hard. And it was just a disaster. She's like, we could not have gotten out of there soon enough.
You said you were going to cancel dinner. I have zero control in my marriage.
So it's funny you say that because apparently Vic tried one time and realized that was not his wheelhouse. He's like, oh, I don't think people like spending time with me.
All you have to do is listen to one of his press conferences and he doesn't have it.
Lord have mercy. Isn't that the truth?
Gosh.
He should have spiced it up with like, it was a good practice.
Oh, God. Having the time of his life.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. Jerry Jeudy said, in a quote, "We got everything we need to be successful this year on offense," end quote. Is this still relevant, in your opinion, without Tim Patrick?
Yeah, obviously, Tim Patrick is a huge loss, and you never want to see anyone go down, but everything that Tim Patrick meant to this team, where he started, where he ended up, he was really one of these started from the bottom, now I'm here guys, right? Mm-hmm. The nice thing is Tim's gone through this before. He had a compound fracture in college. It was why he didn't get drafted, and obviously bounced back to much bigger, much better things. In terms of this offense, I guess the solace that I take is that, we have Russell Wilson. We still have a very good number one wide receiver in Cortland Sutton, who every single person that I've talked to said he is just on a completely another level right now. Like a casual person who knows nothing about football could show up, watch a practice for 5 minutes and be able to point out Cortland Sutton and say, that guy is special, right? I think we're finally going to see the Jerry Jeudy that we've been expecting since he was drafted in 2020. I think we're finally going to see the KJ Hamler that we've been expecting since he was drafted in 2020. So I think it changes a little bit, but what do we always say? Next man up, next man up. Everybody has to stand up, and that production has to come from somewhere, and it will, because your quarterback is Russell Wilson. He's not the kind of quarterback that relies on his wide receivers the way that some other quarterbacks are, right? It's like the receivers are going to make plays for him, but he's also going to put the ball exactly where it is. And I think the other thing that's kind of giving me solace is throughout Russell Wilson's career, he's never had more than two stud wide receivers, right? So most recently it's DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. They're fantastic receivers. They complement each other perfectly. Yeah. But then after those guys, there's a pretty steep drop off in terms of pass catchers, right? And so while it absolutely sucks to lose Tim Patrick because that depth was just absurd if he's on the field, thank God you have a Jerry Jeudy. Thank God you have a KJ Hamler, that you have an Albert Okwuegbunam, a Greg Dulcich. You have two excellent running backs. And so you're going to get that production elsewhere. And so to me, it's like he's never had more than two wide receivers. Now, even with Patrick going down, he still has three excellent receivers and at least one very good pass-catching tight end. Right. So it worries me just because I would have loved to see this offense at full strength with everybody. But look, we can wait one more year, go win a Super Bowl. Tim will have his triumphant return in preseason next year. And then, when they hoist it for the second straight year, and I think that'll be 2024, we'll get this one's for Tim.
There we go. There you go. Do you think they can win it this year? The Super Bowl?
Oh, I'm going to be honest, Bill. I think they can win it every year. I drink the orange Kool-Aid until I have a stomach ache, man. Like
Joe Flacco, we're going to the Super Bowl,
I was on this very, well, not this exact show, but I was with these gentlemen. I was on all these pods saying, well, it doesn't really matter who plays quarterback because the rest of the team's really good. We have all these receivers. I think we can make some noise. Whoa, swing and a miss. But I'm always going to rationalize. You're right. I did the same thing. I'm like, well, Flacco's getting older, but he's better than anything we've had, right? It's like, oh, Case Keenum just took his team to the NFC Championship game. This is awesome. I love Case Keenum. So, yeah, Bill, you give me enough time with my thoughts. I'm going to rationalize why the Broncos can win the Super Bowl, but this is the best I've felt about it since 2013.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like
I
this
totally
is the
agree.
best where I'm like, they have a really good chance to win the Super Bowl. And it's like, I'm having tunnel vision right now because I know the AFC West is good. I know the whole AFC is good. I'm not looking at that. Okay. I'm just straight here. I'm like, nope, I'm only worried about my team because we're really good. We don't really have, very big holes that we need to fill. I think the offensive line is going to be fine. I think the middle linebackers are going to be fine. It's just like there are weaknesses, but they're very, very minuscule.
Right.
And I think the strengths can absolutely overcome the weaknesses, because football, it's not like you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? Like maybe in basketball, even in baseball to an extent, you see that more. A sport like football, we don't really see it. It's like, that's why the Chiefs have been good. The Chiefs have had so many weak links on their team, but they won a Super Bowl with a lot of weak links.
Right.
It's how good are your strongest links that can overcome all of your shortcomings. And I think any team Russell Wilson is on, if I'm being perfectly honest, they have to be a contender, or you're doing a disservice to what Russell's done and the kind of player that he is.
Absolutely.
Well, unless you're a
I totally
Seahawks
agree.
fan, and then
In that case, he's washed.
have you ever
Never
have you
liked
gone-
him.
Have you seen like the Twitter streams from like the Seahawks fans? Like I'm
They-
telling you, deja vu from last offseason.
Dude, they're
Drew Lock is going to be
they're
fantastic,
coping.
man.
They're coping
bad.
so hard. I feel it, man. Like that was me. Like I thought, oh, Drew Lock has had a whole off season. He's getting his Cortland Sutton back. He's going to be really good. And then it was, well, if Drew Lock didn't have Pat Shurmur, he'd be better. And I'm like,
Well, it's like you
sorry,
jump
Mario.
into the
It's
Twitter stream like
I did
you
my
jump
best,
in the
Drew.
Twitter stream like ready to go, and you're like, wait, that's the Seahawks. Never mind.
If only Drew had a chance. I mean,
If Drew, could just,
Yeah.
if Drew could just find a coach that believed in him, guys.
Right?
Oh, man. If Drew could
So-
just get an offensive coordinator that complements his game. Okay. I'm
what
done.
offensive coordinator calls for interceptions? I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
If
No.
there was one, it would probably be Shermer.
Yeah, Pat Shermer.
Like, sometimes
we need
you
more-
can throw a strategic interception.
Yeah, we need
We
more
were, in
time.
fact, we were
Go ahead,
practicing incompletions and interceptions today.
It's like, thanks, Pat. Why don't you call a drag route on 3rd and 9 and see how that works out, you idiot?
Exactly.
and then Jerry
so you
takes
were
an
talking-
absolute beating because that he didn't have a touchdown last year.
Yeah.
Fans were blaming Jerry, and it was a Shermer issue.
This is what I want to do, and I'm not going to give away the answer. But if you are one of these fans that is gonna first off hound Jerry about his drops, he had one drop last year. Come off it, like get a new thing. Yeah, it was a problem rookie year. Change your argument, update yourself, be a smart fan, don't be a filthy casual. Right?
Unfollow. Kid, don't do that. Don't unfollow.
And the other thing
Hashtag Cody.
is, don't
Go get all your friends and hit follow.
get on Jerry Jeudy about not scoring a touchdown, because what I want you to do, if you can do some digging, and if you can find this, come find me on Twitter and let me know that you found the answer. It's at Mile High Mario. Go look at how many targets Jerry had in the red zone last year. Now, I'm not going to say it, but the answer might surprise you. And it also might tip off as to why he did not have a touchdown last season. Go see if you can find it. And you know what? If somebody finds the right answer, if you're listening to this, hit me up on Twitter. I'll give you some free shit.
Perfect.
Stuff.
I'm looking right now.
Free stuff.
Stop.
Give you
Stop.
free stuff.
Stop.
Free
It's
swag.
really warm because I'm sweating my ass off right now.
Dude, that's why I took mine off. Like it was so hot. Like, no, I can't.
I do appreciate the pandering every time I come on here.
Every
though,
time.
Glenn.
Every
he had
time.
his
Without
Vetanze,
fail.
I had the DT one on, and I'm sitting out in my unfinished garage. It's like 100 degrees outside, so I'm like, no, I'm not.
I
Like,
love
I love
Mario,
it, but it's not worth it.
Glenn's
My
taking
wife
one for the
doesn't love
team.
me that much, man. I wouldn't be offended.
No, but you were on this on Calvin Anderson starting at right tackle, right?
Yeah.
And we all love Calvin Anderson, but I got to tell you, it still feels like people are expecting it to get better with Billy Turner, and I'm wanting to check in. Like, is it still Calvin Anderson? Are you thinking it's someone else? What do you know?
So, like, as I've said, I give you information as I get it, the best I get it. I have nothing to gain from giving false information. So when I'm pounding the drum for Calvin, it's because I heard from multiple different people that were obviously very close to the team. It's like, it's Calvin's job. It's Calvin's job to lose. And what I was hearing after that joint practice is his confidence was a little bit shot because Micah Parsons had a really good day. But the thing is, Micah Parsons has a really good day against damn near everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think more than anything, it was a mental issue that he had to get over, where it's like, hey man, you played tackle in the NFL. Sometimes you're going to get beat. Sometimes you're going to give up sacks, pressures. Sometimes you're going to get holds. That's part of your game. But it's not about how often you hold anything like that. It's, are you able to bounce back after that inevitably happens? And that was the biggest seismic change we saw in Garrett Bowles, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all knew the talent was there. We all know that the ability was there. You could see it. Like, if you knew anything about football, you're like, man, as soon as it clicks for this guy, he is going to be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as he was able to, toughen up mentally and realize what he had to do and the opportunity in front of him, and he was just like, next play, instead of worrying too much about what had happened, he became an all-pro tackle. So I think it's a little bit of what Calvin Anderson was dealing with in terms of, yeah, dude, you had a bad week, or not even a bad week, like a bad few days against a dude that was, I think, second in the voting for Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, like Micah Parsons was that dude last year, and he's even better. It's like, look, man, sometimes you're going to lose. That's all right. And so it sounds like he wasn't able to bounce back the way that he needed to. And then you also have the instance where Billy Turner was with Hackett in Green Bay. Billy Turner has been in Denver. He is the stalwart vet. So if they're not liking what they're seeing from Calvin, which, again, when they announce a starter, we'll see, right? I don't think that we're going to have an issue like we did with Fangio last year, where Fangio wanted to play Bobby Massey because that was his guy. And you could argue Bobby was better. But going forward,
Wilkinson!
it's like I don't think it's going to be an issue. It's like they're putting the best dude on the field that they think gives them the best chance to win. Okay. Mm-hmm. The job was Calvin Anderson's. I think he can still show that he can win it. It also depends on where Billy is in terms of his recovery. And I really hope the coaches are smart enough where it's like, Billy had this injury, he's taking these shots, he's doing this, that, and the other to get back. You better make sure that he's 100% because he had a 17-game season. It does you no good if you've got to do to 80, 85% to throw him out there because you're a little bit more confident in him. So, obviously we'll see how it pans out. And of course I'm biased. I love Calvin Anderson. He's a fantastic guy. I think he's going to be really good, whether it's this year or in years to come. But sometimes you got to step up, man. And sometimes you have an opportunity and you don't quite rise to the occasion that you needed to in that particular instance. That's not to say that he's not going to get a chance. Like, if he doesn't win that starting job, he will get a chance. And when he gets that chance, that's when he's going to have to prove it. So we'll see what happens. I'm Team Calvin, though, no matter what, 100% of the time, regardless if he starts at right tackle or if he's a swing guy.
Mario, with your job, and I mean, you not only work on these players, as their body healer, but you have these personal relationships with all these different guys. And when a player, and I'm not looking for any sort of, I'm not looking you to name any names, but when you have a player that actually suffers a season-ending injury, how does your role in their life change?
So knock on wood, that hasn't happened yet. Well, I guess I should specify. So in 2020, I had literally just started working with Cortland Sutton a little bit. And it was right before the Pittsburgh game where he ultimately tore his ACL. And I remember, if you guys remember, he missed week 1 against Tennessee because he had that play in practice. He laid out, landed funny on his shoulder. And their approach was, he's our number 1 wide receiver. He's not quite 100%. It was like, if that's a playoff game or you need that game to clinch or whatever, he might be able to play. Like, you're not getting 100%, but he would be out there. So it was a precautionary. So they're easing him along. And I went to go work on him, focus the entire time on his shoulder. He's like, I want to be back. I need this pain in my shoulder to be gone. So by the time we were done, full strength in his shoulder, full range of motion, felt great. He was actually on the phone with Fangio while I was over there and told him, no, I'm good. I can play. I'm ready. And I was just like, yay! I had a hand in that.
I did it. Yay!
And so I played fantasy football with my dad at the time. I'm like, Dad, we got to play Cortland Sutton this week. I got him back. We're good. And people are asking me, I literally had people in my DMs, hey man, do you work on Cortland? Is he playing? And I will not respond to those people. Even if I know you, I'm like, that's not what this is all about.
That's not all.
But with my dad, I was like, hey, Dad, we got to play Cortland. He's ready to go. Don't tell anybody. So the crappy thing is, man, like, he goes out and he looked really good early on, right? And then towards ACL.
On a turnover tackle.
Because he got rolled up on after an interception. And I'm like, well, not a lot I could do about that. Shit. I mean, crap.
Poop. Doesn't count.
Shut the up.
I mean, dang it.
No, same thing.
So,
Son of a gun.
We all said that.
You know, obviously he goes and gets the surgery, and you know, I was I was part of his recovery team, but you know, he did a fantastic job on his own, and you know, I played my role and did my part to help him get back, and you know, it's like I'm there when and if he needs me. Right now with Tim Patrick, it remains to be seen. I hadn't seen Tim for a while. At the point of that happening, you know, he had just had a little girl and he didn't have a lot of free time, and it bummed me out because he's like, yeah, man, as soon as the season starts, I'm locked in. He's like, I don't have a lot of time right now. As soon as the season starts, I'm locked in. So it broke my heart because, of course, now I'm thinking like, what, like, could I have prevented it? Could I have helped him? Like, could I have been the guy? And it's like, no, like, Mario, you're giving yourself too much credit, dog. Like, you don't have that kind of clout. But that's how my mind works. Like, what if I could have helped him? What if I could have helped him? You know, because that's how I'm wired. So that remains to be seen. You know, I talked to him, like, you know, briefly a little bit, just checking in on him. You know, I'm not going to be the guy say, hey, you want to get to work? Like, do you need a session? Do you need this? I'm like, you know, let him do his thing. He'll come to me if and when he needs it. Give him his space. Thankfully, like I said, mentally, he's prepared to handle this because he's done it before. So yeah, I mean, that's all I got right now. So let's hope that doesn't happen again. And I did actually, like, with the whole Cortland Sutton situation, I had told one of my friends beforehand, like, yo, man, I just worked on Cortland Sutton and he's going to play on Sunday because of me. And he was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And then after he found out he tore his ACL, he calls me. He's like, you're the reason Cortland Sutton tore his ACL.
He texts you like, dude, what the hell?
I was like, yo, man, I'm already reeling from this. Like, why would you say something so hurtful and reckless?
Dude, like, Cortland didn't say that.
Like,
right?
He was like, because if you weren't good at your job, he wouldn't have played, and maybe he doesn't tear his ACL and miss the whole season. I'm like, I guess.
I mean, if they just would have calloused their bodies more, they would.
Oh yeah,
fine.
you just gotta keep getting hit until you're calloused. That's how the body works.
Do you think Tim will be able to be on the sideline with the team, or do they keep them so isolated in recovery?
You know, I'm not sure. I'm sure he'll be at the games. They'll probably have him in a suite.
Yeah.
Because I do remember the couple of games that Garrett missed last year because the defender like dove into the back of his knee.
Mm-hmm.
And his wasn't even that bad. Like, he wasn't on crutches. He might have been in a walking boot. I can't remember. But they didn't want him on the sideline because they're like, well, if a play comes over here, you need to be able to get out of the way. And because your ankle's messed up, you know, we're just going to stick you up there. So I would assume that they're going to put him in the suite for the season. But he'll definitely be around the team. They're not going to isolate him.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Agreed. Mario, I know that we only got you for like 35, 40 minutes or so, and I don't want to keep any longer. I know you're a busy guy, but got any final thoughts? Or I just appreciate you being on the show. Appreciate it.
I'm always psyched to do it. The fact that people think that they want to hear what I have to say is always it tickles me. Honestly, I don't know what's wrong with y'all. I don't know why people keep asking me to do it. I kind of just talk and never really know what I say, and I guess some people like it, sort of.
Let me ask you one final question, Mario, and we can squeeze this fast. But what is the most memorable text you've ever received from a player?
I don't know, man. I would have to look up. Honestly, that, like, they don't really text a lot, you know. At least not personal stuff. So usually, if it's a text, it's can you get me tonight? When are y'all in the office? Are you out here? And that's like during road trips. So it's pretty run of the mill stuff, but let's put a pin in that. Because I can go back and look because I feel like there's something, but I don't want to misquote it.
Okay.
And sometimes it depends on the guy. Oh, you know what? Actually, I will tell this one because this dude's well out of the league. When I very first started doing house calls, one of the first guys that I worked on was Donald Stevenson. Okay. I'm sure we all remember him. Came over from Kansas City. And I'm not even sure how I really got tied in with that. I think he came into the office a couple times and he was like asking if anybody did house calls. And, you know, I'm still like, you know, trying to make a name for myself. And I was like, I do. I do that. And I didn't. But I told him I did because I'm like, I can do it. It's the same thing. I just go to you, right? There's no difference. And so he lived way out, I think, in like Highlands Range. Like he was pretty far away. And so I drive all the way out there, and I worked on him a couple times. And one time I got to his house, ring the doorbell, knock, call, text, nothing. And I'm like, well, maybe he's pooping.
Are you pooping?
You know, I don't know. Like, I'm just gonna
like the Lamar Jackson
wait. And so, yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I waited there for like 30 minutes. You know, every few minutes, knocking, doorbell, text, call. Hey, are you here? Are you at home? What's going on? Didn't hear from him. So I finally left. And maybe like 2 hours later, he texts me, goes, "Hey, you still coming by?"
Oh man.
And I said, what? Dog, I was at your house 2 hours ago, knocking, I called you, I texted you, like, what do you mean? So the text was like, are you here? Where are you? Do you still need work? I think I'm gonna leave. And then this guy says, are you still coming? 2 hours later. And I was like, dude, I was at your house for a long time. He goes, bro, man, I'm sorry, bro. Like sometimes that be happening when I get too high.
Oh, wow.
And so that was probably the funniest text that I ever got. And I was like, okay, well, please don't do that again because that was a lot of my free time that I'm never getting back.
Oh man!
And then Bill, I know you would.
Are you pooping line?
Yeah. I'm gonna add that in. If somebody takes too long to answer the door from now on, be like, "You pooping?
Pooping?
You pooping right now before I work on you?"
And it's even creepier when you put the apostrophe instead of the G at the end. You know.
Yeah.
You pooping? You pooping?
So excited.
But no, Bill, you were asking me like any final thoughts. I'm just excited, man. I'm so excited that it's an excitable thing, right? Like we finally have something to look forward to. We finally have a quarterback. We finally have a head coach who isn't a plug or a wet blanket. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm psyched about the coach. I'm psyched about the offensive defensive coordinators. Psyched about the quarterback, offense, defense. It's just like I'm excited about the ownership, everything. Getting a new stadium sponsored by Walmart, right? Like I can't wait to go to the new Mile High in 2025 and Henry, the 92-year-old greeter, well, you know, when I walk through those doors, he's like, welcome to Mile High Stadium. And I'm like, they brought the greeters back. Yes.
With your great value hot dog in your hand. Like, yeah, let's go.
Let's go. I can't wait.
Like
but
no belts, the
say,
pants
Bill,
just
like,
sagging down. You know.
One thing that I did want to address really quick, and then I'll let you guys wrap it up. I wanted to address this because, like, you know, I'm listening to sports talk radio. I'll listen to different blogs, podcasts. I see on Twitter from experts, analysts, blah, 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 whatever, that the common consensus right now is that the Broncos are going to be slow out of the gate, that the Broncos are going to have some mishaps. Broncos are going to have some issues. I don't see it that way. The way that I see it, Seattle is going to be a get-right game. I understand it's going to be in Seattle. It's on Monday night. The crowd is insane. Their fans are insane. But that team is bad. Like, maybe that crowd gets them through, you know, a quarter or a half, and they, like, you know, maybe surprise you strictly because of that. But at some point, the cream rises to the top. And that, like, it's just not that good of a football team. Like, they have a couple of good pieces, but, like, they were playing their starters in the preseason against backups, and they still, like, their offense still couldn't score. So I could not be less worried. It's like they don't really have much of a secondary. Their middle linebackers are meh, right? And so what I want to see Russell Wilson throw the ball 40 times. If you're so worried about them getting on the same page, do that week 1. Throw the ball all over the yard. I want to see Russ throw for 500 yards and 7 touchdowns. I want to see Seahawk fans crawling out of that stadium because they cried so damn hard that they can't stand up anymore. They lost too many bodily fluids, and they're just crawling up and be like, Russ is washed. Russ is washed. I don't care how many yards he's in. He's washed and he's washed. That's what I want to see. And I don't think that they're going to stumble out of the gate because they start with 2 really bad teams that they should absolutely boat race, not beat. And I don't want to hear all this crap. It's like, well, I think it's going to be a close game. No, the Seahawks should not score against this defense, and the Broncos should never go a drive without scoring against the Seahawks defense. This game should not be close, and the Broncos-Texans game should not be close. And this is important because I think it's imperative for the rest of the season. You start off against these 2 teams. If you barely beat the Seahawks and the Texans, it messes with your psyche. And other teams are looking at you like, well, maybe they're not the team we thought they were. You go into week 3, week 4, week 5 against much better teams than you faced in week 1 and 2, and you look back and you kick the teeth into those first 2 teams and beat them by double digits, that changes the allure of your team, where these other teams like, yo, they put them on it. They put it on them a little bit. They're a little scary because then you get that advantage going into that game, and that can't be overstated. Like, that is a very real thing. These guys, it's like you think that they're just players, right? They show up, they do their job, they go home. They are well aware of other players out there and other teams and trends. They know who's good. They know who's not good. And so if you're going to play the 49ers week 3, do you think that you would rather have 2 squeaky wins that you just got by? Or do you want the Niners to say, damn, they won by a combined of like 30 points? That's crazy. That messes with them and gives you an advantage. So that's what I want to see and what I think we're going to see from the Broncos. They just got to lay it on them, man. Let Russ cook this first week back in Seattle. Just curb stomp those sea chickens, man. That's my final thought.
Did you see that Adam Rank prediction for the Seahawks?
No, that was doctored up, dude. That was a doctor.
Thank God.
So?
Thank God.
Okay.
Because it was like Adam Rank had the Seahawks winning 34-10.
No, he had the Broncos. That was a doctor.
Yeah. Okay, good.
That would be a sight to see. I don't think there are any Seahawk fans that legit believe that. I don't think Geno Smith believes that. I don't think they're asking, hey, Geno, do you think you could beat this team 34-10? He's like, I don't know, man, but what I will tell you is I think the earth is flat.
Exactly.
Geno's like, I can give you the 3. But take
their
the 4
quarterback
off.
is a flat earther. I could not be less worried about that game.
Hey, Geno's going to ask to be punched in the face by a teammate before the game. You know that for sure.
I'm going to tell Shelby to do it. Shelby, Geno said he likes to get punched in the face before the game. Shelby's hands are like this big. It's like 2 of my fists.
Excellent. Mario, it's been a pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Pleasure was
I
all
couldn't be
mine.
happier.
Thank you.
It was great, man. Some great conversation. I love it.
Bill, if you couldn't be happier, you might need to reevaluate your life, man. I'm just saying. No. I appreciate the sentiment. Truly, I do. But no, thank you,
It's
man.
from the heart, man.
Thank you.
All righty. We'll let you cut out of here. How's that?
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for having me. Bill, it was awesome meeting you.
Same
Mundungus, Glenn, I will see your handsome asses in a couple of weeks. I can't wait.
Exactly.
Can't wait.
Thanks again, Mario. Talk to you later.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Have a great one.
See ya.
Hey, that was great, guys. That was great.
Called me
Okay.
handsome.
What's that?
He called me handsome.
Well, there you go.
Well, I think I probably helped with that a little bit,
All right, guys, real quick before we wrap this up, just your thoughts on the what you think the Broncos will do this season. I think they're going 12-5. I think they're going to lose to the Raiders, Chargers, and Chiefs on the road, as well as the Ravens and Rams. So they're winning all 8 games at home. I say they're going 12-5. Don't know if they're going to win division, but I say 12-5. What do you guys say?
I got 11-6.
Okay.
And I have them losing to the Chiefs, Chargers, Ravens, Niners, Titans, and Raiders.
Niners.
So basically, we split all of our division games,
Right.
and then Ravens, Niners, Titans.
Okay. What about you, Glenn?
I'm going to go with you, Bill. I'm going to go 12-5.
Okay.
I feel even stronger about this team now than I did before. The camaraderie from the top of the organization down is like nothing I don't think I've ever seen. Maybe it's just more apparent with social media and the fact that we're seeing these press conferences and everything is being broadcast and the behind the scenes stuff and all that jazz. But it is, I mean, when Russell Wilson is FaceTiming George Payton on a regular basis to the point where Payton joked today that, like Russell mentioned FaceTiming Payton, and Payton goes, "Yeah, I probably would get more sleep if you didn't." Exactly. He must be getting ideas and then sending it. I mean, I love this collaborative effort, and that is something that we haven't had. I mean, I don't think we've ever had something to this level. And I may be jumping the gun because we haven't played any games. We haven't had the starters take any snaps, but I am very, very excited about the nature of this team. I mean, you look at where Aaron Rodgers is with his receivers, and he's complaining about where they are, and he didn't come to OTAs, or and Russell's having his guys. He's showing up at every practice. He's having his guys out at his home in San Diego, and he's getting dressed for preseason games that he doesn't even stand a chance of playing. I mean, it is apples and oranges, and I couldn't be happier.
Well, I had it at. I had 12-5 last time we did this, and I dropped to 11-6. And I know you can't really base a lot on preseason, but you still saw the defense struggle stopping the run. And again, that's what DJ Jones is for. That's what all them are for. But until I see them stop the run, I'm thinking more 11-6 than 12-5. So if they're able to stuff the run like I think they can, then I'm going back up to 12-5.
But Mike, the thing I think it is important to mention is when we're playing all our backups, and I know that the story was that the Bills had their starters in, and the starters were in for a very short time. So I mean, our backups did not play well, as you just illustrated. But there's never going to be a scenario we're going to have 11 second stringers. Right. So I'm not so worried about that.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. When they prove that they can stop it, then I'm not worried about it. But you never know. If there's a package where DJ Jones rotates out, somebody else comes in, then they know it, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna run it right down the middle." I don't know.
Right,
but because the depth that's there hasn't shown that they could stop the run yet. I mean, they did a better job against the Vikings, but again, that's why we got DJ Jones.
Mm-hmm. The Bills game, you and I could have run through there.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill could not. Bill would have been.
You might have been able to. I would have tripped and rolled, but I probably could have made it through the hole.
Hey, but if I turn sideways, you can't see me.
That's true. You could just pick up Bill and throw him like a javelin. Yeah.
Exactly. Guys, do we win the division or is it a wild card?
Oh. Well, I can tell you one thing: the Raiders are definitely not going to win the division.
Okay.
And I do think that the Chargers got better, but they're always overhyped in the offseason with all their additions. I don't think Khalil Mack is going to play the full season. I don't know if we're ever going to get Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, and Joey Bosa all on the field at the same time because all of them are injured all the time. No idea about the Chiefs. They definitely have lost some. Their offensive line's not better. So I think we can. I think we can win the division. I think it'll be close, but I think we can.
Do we have to win the division in order to advance deep in the playoffs?
No.
Okay.
Deep in the playoffs or make the playoffs?
Deep in the playoffs. Well, deep or make it. So I mean, I know the AFC is that strong that we may not make the playoffs as a wild card, but if we did, does it matter if we win the division or not?
So I don't think it does. The one point, even though it is a completely stacked conference, is that with 3 wild card spots, so now 7 out of 16 teams are going to make it. So there are certain teams you can already eliminate. Jacksonville, the Jets. I live in New England, so I'm going with the Patriots. We can eliminate them right away. I think Tennessee is not going to make the playoffs. They were the number 1 seed last year. You know, I think that 3 teams out of the AFC West are going to make the playoffs. So that would leave 1 wild card throughout the other 3 conferences.
Right.
I think Cleveland's not going to make the playoffs, and that will make me very happy.
Yep. And Houston,
Cleveland has a team.
Miami.
Houston's not going to make it. Miami is a toss-up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Buffalo is a definite.
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis, I would say, is going to run away with that division.
Okay.
You think so?
I would think so.
Wow.
Who else would do it? Dude, if we were in the division with Tennessee, Houston, and Jacksonville,
Yeah.
like Indianapolis is.
Well, they got better with the quarterback in Ryan. Is it Ryan? No. Is it Ryan?
Matt Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, Matt Ryan.
Well, that's because Carson Wentz was a train wreck. I mean,
Exactly. All right, guys. It's been fun. It's been real. Appreciate you guys being the co-host.
dude, all you need to say is like we get to spend time with Mario and
exactly.
We're in.
And what's that?
And we're in. This is like
Yeah,
Mario's going to the show. We're in.
he's the best. He really. I mean, this guy is, and we know him personally. Like he is this way outside of any of these appearances. He is one of the most generous people, not only with his time but with his talents. Like I can't rave enough about Mario.
Yeah, I was just glad. I'm just honored to have him on the show. Really am, and just great guy, funny guy, good stories. Just all around. He seemed really down to earth, and that's what I love. It's great. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. Don't forget, guys out there, the 5280 podcast goes live every Tuesday, 5, 6, 7, and 8, with Madungus Creevy, the host, his good friend and co-host Glenn Hauser, both on the show here, as well as Boggins.
Good friend.
Okay, well.
My wife calls Mike my COVID pen pal.
There we go.
Anyways, it's 5280 podcast is live 5, 6, 7, and 8 on Tuesday night. Wednesday night is the Wild Wild West that features a fan from every AFC West team: Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, and Chiefs. That's live every Wednesday, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, and 7:30. Then again on Friday is this show, Broncos Breakdown, hosted by me, Bronco Bill, drops every Friday, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Thanks again, guys. It was a pleasure. Thanks again for being on the show. And guys, we will talk to you next Friday. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you then. Take care. Bye-bye.